Don't you guys just love being in a position where no matter what happens, you walk away as a winner? Like when the Blazers went up against the Warriors in the 2019 Western Conference Finals, and it forced Sonia and Del Curry to pick a side and choose which one of their sons they would root for. Either way, one of them was going to the finals. Now that sounds like a good problem to have, but sometimes we're put in a position that isn't so lucky. It's called a lose-lose situation, or in other words, a no-win situation. It's basically when a person has choices, but neither of the choices lead to anything positive. For example, here's an episode of Couples Fear Factor, where each couple is forced to choose which one of the two would like a mouthful of worms or a head full of worms. Either way, you're pretty much f***ed. So in today's video, let's go through some NBA situations where no matter what outcome occurs, it's gonna lead to an L. When the 2009 playoffs came around and we took a look at the brackets, we all were hopeful that this might finally be the year we would witness a Kobe-LeBron matchup in the finals. Yeah, you couldn't really write off teams like Boston or San Antonio, but even the NBA itself would have been thrilled if that series came to fruition. Box office was written all over it. But surprisingly, the Orlando Magic came in and put all of it to a stop, advancing to the NBA Finals. Not exactly the series we were anticipating, and I'm sure Shaquille O'Neal wasn't too excited about it either. On one hand, there was Kobe and the Lakers representing the West, and in a perfect world, Shaq would have loved to cheer and support his former teammate, but their relationship didn't really end too well. By now, you should know that Kobe and Shaq had themselves a little feud back in the day. And I'm not gonna go through all the details, but trust me, it got pretty ugly, ultimately going their separate ways in 2004. And in their first matchup against each other, we saw them go at one another all game long. Kobe had a shot to win it for LA, but it didn't connect. And obviously, Kobe and Shaq were not about to go out of their way to shake hands at all.
Kobe is launching that three at the very end of that first overtime. What are you thinking?
I knew that it wasn't going to go in because my team came out and they played well. That's all we want to do, come here and win. You know, we're not trying to score 50 or 60 points and try to outdo anybody. No, we just want to play good team ball, and that's what we did today.
And that wasn't the only slight he directed towards Kobe.
Check it. You know how I be. Last week, Kobe couldn't do without me. You know how I be. Last week, Kobe couldn't do without me. It's about B.I.G., a.k.a. Big Shaq. Now that's the difference between first and last play. Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes.
Eventually, as time went on, they did begin to become more friendly with each other.
Well, one of your teammates is going to be Kobe Bryant. We're going to reunite the two of you back together again on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, what's up, young boy? What's up, man? Yes, sir. Hey,
How you doing? Family here?
hey, no, just me and wifey. Just me and wifey, so. What's up, man? Look like you ready to play me one-on-one, man. What's up?
Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal as the co-MVPs of the 2009 NBA All-Star Game.
But deep down, Shaq understandably did not want Kobe to succeed without him. He wanted to be the one with more rings when it was all said and done.
Do you think I was pissed when you got number 5?
Of course you were.
Oh,
no doubt.
I told my house up.
No doubt. I bet you did.
No, I went crazy.
We know what it means as a team, but what about individually for you?
Just got one more than Shaq. So you can take that to the bank.
He was upset that Kobe was able to capture his 5th ring, but the year of 2009, which was the year Kobe won his 4th ring, was especially annoying to Shaq. Because on the other side, Dwight Howard and the Magic was in position to win it all as well. And of course, Shaq wouldn't have been the biggest fan of that outcome either. And the reason is pretty clear-cut. Orlando was his old city, same position, and the same nickname, Superman, which Shaq openly admitted that he feels some type of way about that. Quote, Superman my ass.
And you excited to see Superman in the dunk contest? Oh my gosh, I cannot. Shaq, if he comes out of a phone booth again, what should I call him?
You can call him Superman, but I'm going to punch you in your face.
Can't give out my name.
But I'm trying, if a guy
Can't give
walks
out my
in,
name.
So it's safe to say that O'Neal probably didn't even want to pay attention to the 09 finals because the end result was guaranteed to be painful. Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals, the entire NBA world gathered around their TV sets with great anticipation, ready for the big show. But the person who probably was not so enthused was Michael Jordan. I mean, just look at what was at stake for MJ. And if it's not crystal clear for you, let me break it down. So on one side, there was LeBron James, and we know Jordan wasn't about to go out of his way to root for LeBron, cause that would mean that LeBron would be one step closer to becoming the GOAT, if he were to pull this off. Sure, Michael has always said that to him, Kobe is the better player.
Kobe or LeBron? In terms of dominance of the game of basketball at this stage, is LeBron. Championship-wise, Kobe Bryant.
But whether it be his lack of MVPs or just the simple fact that he's always been viewed as the poor man's Michael Jordan, he kinda knew that Kobe never really stood a chance to actually pass him up. And coming back to beat a 73-win team in the finals would be monumental for LeBron in the GOAT discussion. But hold on, wanting the Warriors to win wouldn't have been all that great for Jordan either. You see, back in the 95-96 season, his Chicago Bulls won 72 games, which solidified them as the greatest team ever assembled. But when Golden State was on pace to actually break that record, MJ had to have been salty about it. And he knew that if Golden State were to win this Game 7, then they would immediately be called the greatest team ever. And we all know that Michael obviously hates it when he's not considered the best. So it must have been a very stressful final game for him to watch. Easy for us, yes, because we didn't have anything on the line, but MJ most likely was going back and forth in his head all game, not knowing who to consciously cheer for. And no matter what, he wasn't gonna be all that thrilled anyway. He did personally go up to Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, and basically say that 73 don't mean without a ring, showing that he was kinda bothered by Golden State's success. But it looks like he probably would have preferred the Warriors to win at the end of the day, because it was recently revealed that Jordan greenlit The Last Dance documentary the same day as the Cavaliers championship parade, and knew that it would come in handy if something like this were to ever happen.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
Bullshit!
Yeah, that wasn't really the matchup he was hoping for. Now let's transition to where it's a lose-lose situation for LeBron. All season long, James was looking nowhere close to an old man. He showed that longevity is one of his greatest assets, and was in the MVP conversation, performing at a high level, until suddenly the season came to a stop, ruining all the momentum the Lakers had going for themselves. They were fresh off a weekend where we saw them defeat both the Clippers and Bucks in consecutive games. You might be thinking, at least the season isn't officially cancelled, it's just postponed. Yeah, well, there's no guarantee that the NBA will come back, which means LeBron will be 1 year older next year, and might not be able to duplicate the success he was having. He could have potentially been the first player in history to win a Finals MVP with 3 different teams, and the uncertainty of AD's free agency makes everything all the more unpredictable. Okay, you're probably saying, if the season returns, then we can continue on like nothing ever happened. Well, not so fast, because many have came out and said that whoever wins the championship this year will have an asterisk on their title.
You know what? If LeBron James does win a championship this year, which would be his 4th, it's gonna feel like it was tainted, like it will deserve an asterisk, because obviously the season has been shortened.
So all of that hard work would basically be for nothing. Nobody will really give him credit at all. If only the season went down normally, then LeBron would have actually had a legitimate chance to strengthen his case as the GOAT. Throughout this whole hiatus, he consistently expresses his hope for the NBA to resume, but with the possibility that an asterisk will come along with his 4th ring, it'll just be another example where LeBron can never win. Going into the 2019 NBA playoffs, the Golden State Warriors were extremely motivated to complete a three-peat so they can finally be considered a dynasty. As always, they were handling their business until Kevin Durant went down with an injury in the second round versus the Rockets, which led to people questioning if the Warriors can get it done without him. But surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, they went on and continued to dominate. They closed out the series against the Rockets, and then ran up against the red-hot Blazers in the conference finals. Many thought that without KD, it would at least be competitive, which it was, but when it was all said and done, Golden State swept Portland, and that wasn't really a good look for Durant. It must have been a devastating hit to his ego. The narrative was that maybe they don't even need Durant to win the title. And of course, I wouldn't really blame the Warriors for believing that the Raptors should be easily beatable, even without KD. But they soon got a reality check, and the Warriors, along with everyone else, began to realize that they obviously do need KD if they want to win it all. So subsequently, they started to kind of pressure Durant to hurry up with his recovery and quickly come back. It was said that there was some sort of drama in the locker room because they expected Durant to at least try and make a return for the finals. I don't know about you guys, but that must have been a very stressful position to be in. I can only imagine the kind of pressure he was experiencing. He could have just played it safe and chose to sit out for the rest of the year, but that would have led to his teammates accusing him of quitting, or actually come back but risk further injury. There's so many scenarios that could have went wrong here. He was probably going through the pros and cons back and forth in his head. There was also the possibility of coming back and even losing the finals, which would have made him look like the problem, or at least not the hero we all thought he was. Now obviously the perfect scenario would have been to come back and carry the team to victory, but at that moment it was still a tough decision to make. And ultimately, he decided to take the chance and go out to be there for his team, but it resulted in a negative outcome that usually comes along with lose-lose situations. As you all know, after the 1999 NBA championship, we saw Scottie, Michael, and Phil all go their separate ways. And for a moment there, it looked like we weren't really gonna see anything from them again. Phil Jackson needed a little break, while Pippen gave it a shot with the Rockets. And we all know how that went. But just 1 year later, Phil was back, and Pippen found a new home with the Trail Blazers. Both had immediate success with their new teams, and found themselves facing one another in the 2000 Western Conference Finals, Lakers versus Blazers. Now this is where I'm gonna put words in MJ's mouth and assume that there was some jealousy going on. Okay, sure, I know his legacy was already set as the greatest player to ever live, but remember, this is Michael Jordan we're talking about here. Who knows what he was thinking while watching this conference finals? Yes, it was very possible that Jordan was extremely happy for both of them, but he was also overly competitive, meaning that he wanted no one else to thrive. Look, just hear me out. If Phil Jackson goes on to the finals, then that would have been evidence that Phil really was a marvelous coach and can easily do it without MJ. And on the other hand, if Pippen advances to the finals, then it would appear that maybe he could have been a #1 option somewhere else all along, and that MJ wasn't as needed like it was originally thought for him to succeed. Now, I get it. You could say this is a ridiculous take, and it seems like I'm trying to twist things just so it fits into this video, but if you think about it, MJ had to have been thinking that he could have easily captured more rings, because clearly they were both still succeeding without him, and probably felt left out. And you tell me what Batman wants to see their Robin spread his wings on their own. In 2006, the Los Angeles Lakers took on the Phoenix Suns in the first round of the playoffs, and LA quickly took a 3-1 lead, pretty much putting a stranglehold on the series. But Phoenix rallied back to win games 5 and 6, forcing a game 7. Kobe did score 50 points in game 6, but it wasn't enough, which led to many criticizing Bryant, calling him a ball hog, and said that he had a problem not trusting his teammates. teammates, and Kobe didn't really like what was being said about him leading up to that Game 7. In his head, if scoring 50 points wasn't enough to get the job done, then what makes you believe the other players on that roster can do any better? And we've all been there before, where we really want that I told you so moment. So for Kobe, he only really had two options. Either go out there and continue to play like he usually does and try to get the win that way, but that would certainly come with the risk of being labeled a ball hog once again. Or just pretend to trust your teammates and get them involved, knowing damn well that's probably not the best recipe for success. Well, he ultimately chose to do what the complainers wanted and basically did not shoot the ball at all in Game 7. He only put up 16 points and only shot 3 times in the second half, resulting in a 31-point blowout as they were sent home, proving a point that he tried to trust his teammates, but look how that turned out. Now, don't get it twisted, he definitely would have liked to win that game, but proving the haters wrong looked to be more important, and obviously it led to some backlash.
Why did Kobe Bryant take 3 shots in the second half? I think he was being very selfish. I think he stopped shooting because he wanted to say, those guys didn't help me. He wanted to prove, you guys can't do anything without me. But the truth of the matter, he was very selfish.
Alright guys, let me know if you know of any other lose-lose situations that should have been in this video. Make sure to leave a comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.